Good day everyone! Blessed day to all our followers and our listeners. Ako po si Teacher Tina Zamora, your resident podcast guru na magbibigay sa inyo ng makabuluhang programa sa mundo ng alternative learning delivery mode sa larangan ng edukasyon. The current COVID-19 pandemic and adoption of enhanced community quarantine measures in the Philippines surfaced a number of concerns relating to education. Among others, it highlighted the need for the education system to be able to respond and act amidst rapidly unfolding national events and address different needs, concerns, and contexts. The community quarantine measures also underline the need for learning and education activities to continue as a mechanism to help citizens cope with the crisis. In response to this need, the CIMEO Inatec proposes to aid in addressing the knowledge needs of teachers, school officials, parents, and community members to organize and support home-based or community-based learning action to support continuity of learning even in these lockdown situations. Our program, Impact Podcast, is a series of instructional podcasts focusing on planning and implementing project impact or instructional management by parents, community, and teachers, a learning system pioneered by Inatec since the 1970s. So without further ado, let's introduce our resource speaker for today. Siya po ang nag-impulsa ng impact sa CIMEO Inatec, si Miss Debbie Lacuesta. Hi, Miss Debbie!
Hi, Teacher Tina!
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you for coming here and explaining impact for us on our pilot episode.
And thank you for inviting me also.
Also, Miss Debbie, as our first question, why don't you explain to everyone the meaning of an alternative delivery mode?
Yes, okay. So, Teacher Tina, alternative delivery mode or ADM refers to a learning system that is different from the conventional system being used in a structured format like in the conventional schools. And then most ADMs are designed outside the framework of conventional schools, as I mentioned earlier.
So, if you compare it to the conventional school, meaning hindi sila nasa loob ng classroom or pwede pa rin i-implement sa loob ng classroom, anong kinaiba niya dun sa kung anong kinasanayan natin sa eskwelahan?
Okay. Yung kinasanayan natin kasi sa school ay the children are in a classroom. And there's one teacher doing the teaching. Actually, if the teacher is not yet a 21st century teacher being a facilitator, then she does most of the talking.
Oh, so it's like, too teacher-centered.
Yes. So like there are 60 pupils in a crowded classroom.
Yes.
And only the teacher doing all the tasks of teaching. So this is very conventional. However, in the ADM setup, as you asked, now whether this can also be in a school and it can also be outside the school. Now, in the case of impact, it is also in the school, but it is totally a different system.
Okay, so let's go through the features.
Yes, so actually the features that I will mention will also be true for other ADM.
Okay.
No? So these are, there has to be a provision of policy support that will encourage schools to implement ADM. No? So when we mean support, the DepEd Central Office down to the Division Office should recognize that the school is implementing a different kind of delivery system and should recognize them. And also, whatever the school needs, like in the form of materials, this has also to be supported.
By the Department of Education?
Yes, by the Department of Education.
All right.
Now, another feature is that there is an organizational arrangements to allow learners or target learners to learn by meeting their needs, whether they are convenient to stay at home or in the school, or in the location that they prefer. So these are beneficial, especially to learners who are sick, who are working, but can still continue to learn while using this ADM.
I see.
And this can also be operated at a lower cost compared to the conventional system. This was the claim before actually, but recently when we implemented the impact system, there has been some innovations, like we integrated some enhancements, the use of ICT So like what the regular schools are doing, they also have the ICT in compliance with the revised curriculum under RBEC before. So we implemented that also under the impact system, which we are advocating. And then there are other features as well that we added, like there is a resource teacher.
This is over and above the teacher that will implement the program.
Yeah. Originally, the impact was really cost effective because one teacher could handle 120 pupils from grades 1 to grade 6. So that means you will only need a few teachers then. But as the system evolved, and we added features, and because the school that would adopt the system, the impact system, already has several teachers already in the school, we cannot do away with them. So what we did was give them assignments, like they become a testing teacher or a resource teacher, aside from the original assignments of instructional supervisor.
So they had different roles in the program.
We provided these roles to them because we cannot draw away or throw them or drive them away from the school.
And it's better to assign specific roles so it's easier to manage.
Those are the enhancements of the new or the revised or the enhanced impact system that we are saying.
So apart from the management and then the governing body, which is DepEd, and then the governing school, let's say, for example, on how they're going to manage the impact program, what else is a feature?
The impact system also follows the DepEd curriculum. The materials have been revised from the first version when it was developed in the 70s. And then we had the PRODED version of the curriculum. During that time, we have the DepEd as a project of PRODED, funded, I think, by World Bank. So we revised again that curriculum, the materials, to align with that curriculum.
For K-12?
No, not yet the K-12.
Prior to K-12?
Yeah, prior to K-12. And then we had the RBEC. So that was already the second revision, PRODED and then RBEC. And then the third revision now is the K-12.
So, Ms. Debbie, sa Pilipinas, ang Department of Education at the elementary level ay may iba-ibang ADM programs. So, what makes Impact different from them? What are the other ADM programs that are currently being implemented in the country?
Actually, sa DepEd, they have this other ADM programs. They call this distance education.
Distance education,
that allows learners also to study even while they're
not
they are far from the school. They're not in
brick
the
and mortar school.
Then another one is that the PBES, public elementary school distance education. Although I'm not so very familiar with this. Then they have another one. This is the MISOSA, the modified in-school of school approach. Originally, this was also developed by Simeo Inotech. Alongside with Impact then, And the original title is In School of School. And then later on, DepEd modified this and added the word modified, so it's now MISOSA. Modified In School of School approach. And they use this for classes that are big, So they divide the classes into two, while the other half stays with the teacher. The other half stays somewhere.
Like to decongest the classrooms.
Yes, to decongest the classrooms. Originally, while half of the class is with the teacher, the other half actually stays at home and does modular.
So it's very familiar with what's happening right now when COVID hit.
So actually, what DepEd is implementing right now during the pandemic is actually an alternative delivery mode. The modular approach to education, while learner stays at home, uses the module, and also the offline approach. So that's also a form of ADM.
So perfect palang impact when COVID struck.
Yes.
So Miss Debbie, kumbaga sa resource person, ikaw talaga yung pinaka may alam kung ano ang impact. So can you explain to us first its meaning and the purpose of the program?
Okay. So impact stands for Instructional Management by Parents, Community, and Teachers. Okay, so the system actually is designed holistically, involving the parents and other stakeholders, and then the teachers and the learners. Okay, so Impact has different features actually. So learners are grouped into learning families and
learning families meaning different grouping.
yeah.
So if you involve, because I love it because you involve the teachers, the parents, and the community, because it's very holistic, as you said. But how do you group them when you implement the program?
Actually, learners from grades 1 to 6 are grouped under one instructional supervisor. And the number of learners is limited up to 120 pupils only.
120 pupils per grouping.
Per
Program. Okay.
So per grouping, there should be 60 learners.
60
so that
learners.
Means, from grades 1 to 6, 10 pupils in grade 1, 10 up to grade 6.
So it's
10,
like
you have 60.
it's like a vertical grouping from grades 1 to 6.
Yes,
okay.
a vertical
All right.
grouping. And these pupils are only under one instructional supervisor.
I see. Okay.
And these groupings are based on their ability and also on their where they are located, like if they are neighbors or if they are brothers and sisters. So that when one is absent from the group, the neighbor or the brother and sister can report to the teacher and can bring home some of the materials or the modules for
logistics.
Yes.
It's good. That's good.
So,
okay. Once the teaching supervisor gets the program, how was it adapted from the current K-12 curriculum? Meaning, yung pinag-aaralan nila sa classroom, paano siya minodify ng impact for the impact program?
Yes. Actually, for the impact program, for as long as the materials are aligned with the K-12 curriculum, fine lang yun. Because previously, all the materials had been aligned with the
so it's hand in hand with what they are learning in the classroom.
Yeah, they're learning the same thing as what their other learners are doing in the conventional.
Okay.
It's just the way the learning is delivered. So
okay. So that's the next question.
Yes.
How is it delivered?
So with the instructional supervisor, you would imagine how would she be able to handle 120?
Yes. Yeah, that's my question.
So therefore, the grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3 learners are grouped as program learning groups.
Okay.
And then learners from grades 4, grade 5, and grade 6, they are chosen to become the program teachers.
Oh, so it's really a vertical class that students are also part of the learning process, meaning they teach the younger kids.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
And initially, those who are assigned to teach the younger kids are those bright ones. So therefore,
that's why it's important that when you group them, their levels are also considered.
Yes.
Because the faster ones can help those that are having a hard time.
Yes. So not all teachers will have the brightest learners all the time. So it has to be, distributed among the instructional supervisors.
Correct.
And so then these level 4, 5, and 6 learners, before they become program teachers, they are trained by their instructional supervisors.
So there's training for the older kids.
Yes. To become the program teachers.
Right.
So they are trained.
And at the same time, they learn
It's
themselves.
like a review.
Yes.
What they are teaching are subjects for grade 1, for grade 2, and grade 3.
So para kayong may table of organization that even if there is only one teacher, she manages to teach the other older kids to teach the younger ones.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And then the older learners, like the grades 4, 5, and 6, they are also grouped into a peer learning group. So meaning to say, they study also by themselves. They have the modules with them. Each one of them has a module. And then the group has a leader.
I see.
That facilitates the discussion.
Great. So it's really peer learning.
Yes, it's peer learning. And the peer group leaders are also trained by their instructional supervisors.
Wow.
So most of the time, what the IS does or the teacher does is training the program teachers and the peer group leaders.
And the peer group leaders.
And in addition to that, the IS, as I call the instructional supervisor, also has to prepare the materials that the program teachers will use. And these materials are based on the program teaching modules. So there are different modules.
So it's really, the process is really laid out for them
Yes,
already.
that's why it's a complete system. There's
Okay.
the process, there's the materials, and there's also the process of testing.
So when a crisis hits, like COVID, for example, it should be still functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's perfect in any crisis, not
Yes.
just COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Except, can I say something?
Yes, yes.
Except that there's the restriction of being
Close to one
Close,
another.
yes.
So what was the issue of impact when COVID hit and they couldn't come to school, to physical school?
Yeah, because learners need to group together to study as a peer group or as a program
Right,
teacher. So they
right.
cannot come as a group.
Yeah.
And they cannot be trained by their instructional supervisor.
Correct.
Because there's lack of face-to-face
Yes,
interaction.
yes.
However, if the materials would have been digitized, and then learners are given this gadget,
Yeah.
and then they can
do it online.
yes, they can do it online, and then
I
the
see.
teachers will just manage the learning of
Yeah.
say several groups of learners.
Right,
There are
right.
now several different platforms for
Correct,
managing
correct,
a learning system.
correct.
So that could have been done.
Where do the parents come in?
The parents come in as a tutor or as a teacher aide. And
So they also get trained?
yes.
Okay.
Without the COVID, parents
Yes,
are
yes,
given
yes,
orientation,
yes.
and what their roles are.
Okay.
But basically, they are there to support their children.
Okay.
Especially those children who are assigned as program teachers or peer group leaders.
I
Because
see.
they are given advanced modules for them to study. Because they need to do also program teaching and being group leaders.
Right,
So
right.
their teachers would give them advanced materials so they can study. So they
Wow.
won't miss on anything on their learning.
So we tackled the teachers, the students, the parents. How about the community? How do they get involved?
The community gets involved in the form of providing logistics.
Okay.
Because in the impact system, some schools are crowded. I mean, the
Right,
classrooms are not so
right,
big to
right,
accommodate
right.
120
Yes.
learners. No, so the LGU, the affluent members of the community can help support the building of learning kiosks.
I see.
It's like a bahay kubo.
Or if they have space
Yes.
that's already existing, they
Yes.
can offer it.
Yes,
for
but
impact.
it has to be within the school
Right,
compound.
right,
yes.
right.
So,
Uh-uh.
but usually it's the kiosk, learning kiosk.
Yes,
no?
yes.
And so they will build several learning kiosks within the distance where the teacher could see them. Because these are grades 4, 5 learners, they can go down, get out of the classroom,
Right,
stay in the
right.
kiosk, and do their peer group learning. So it decongest also the
Amazing.
classroom, and the teacher still can monitor them. Okay, so Teacher Tina, may I
Okay.
go back to how the impact system was developed? This was developed based on certain principles.
All right.
So the first one is that children of school-going age are the target of education.
All
so
right.
that means all children should be in school. Basically, it is a constitutional right of every child.
Okay.
It's embedded in our constitution.
Yes,
so that's
yes.
why impact really was developed for all children. They have to be in school, whether you are very far from the school, whether you are sickly,
Yes.
or whether you're earning a living.
Yes.
Yes.
It
So-
should not be difficult for a child to
Yes.
be able to learn,
Yes.
regardless.
Yes.
Okay.
Then the other principle is that the learning materials are based on the current curriculum of DepEd. As I
Right.
mentioned
Correct,
earlier,
correct.
the materials have gone through several revisions, and the latest one was based on the K-12.
Okay.
So it does not, learners under the impact system are not compromised, or
All right.
they
So it goes hand in hand with
yes,
what they're learning.
The quality of
Yes,
the
yes.
materials are still the same. No?
Correct,
Yes.
correct.
And then also, learning can take place anywhere. So as I
Agree.
mentioned the kiosk earlier, I mentioned
Yes,
that
yes.
place. And then in some instances when there are no kiosks, but if schools have a good good trees,
Right,
the
right. It
ambience
doesn't
is,
have to be in a room.
Yeah,
They
so
can go
it can-
outdoors.
Yes, they can even be under the trees.
Yes.
So, and we have experienced this.
Mas
no?
masaya yatang matuto pag ano.
Yeah, right. Yes. So, nag-enjoy
Okay.
ang mga bata actually. And then, also, progress of learners is based on their mastery and speed. Because every module has a post-test. Okay?
Yeah, that's your assessment.
Yes, that's
Oo,
part of the
yeah,
assessment.
yeah.
Aside from what the regular DepEd assessments, are required of all
Right,
schools. So,
right.
So every
It also
module-
gives you feedback if
Yes,
the program
right,
is working.
right,
Yeah.
yes. So the post-test is very important. Before a child would take the post-test, he has to go through a review or an interview.
Just
by
like
the-
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interview by the instructional supervisor.
Okay.
Because he would sign a piece of paper, directed to the testing teacher saying that this learner is ready for module post-test. Okay. Now,
so parang may checklist.
Yes.
And may go signal
My
of
go
the
signal
IS.
because the IS should not let go of the child to take the post-test if he or she is not ready. Otherwise, it would reflect on her performance.
It also gives the child a chance to say, I'm having difficulty in this part. Yes,
right.
okay.
And then, of course, testing teacher would analyze the results of the test. They do item analysis and then feedback to the school head and to the teachers, of course, where a learner has difficulty and who among the learners are, lagging behind.
I see. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So that's one of the features. And of course, the teacher is also the manager of the learning process.
Agree.
You know that concept of the teacher being the manager, being thought of.
Is that
in
new?
No. I mean, today they think it's new. It's the 21st century skills
But
of a
it's
teacher.
actually-
But in the 70s, that has been already thought of under the impact system.
Correct,
So
correct.
the teacher is not like being the sage on the stage. That's what they're saying.
Then
but
all
rather,
all the students do is just listen. Yes.
But this time, the teacher manages the learning process.
And it's more interactive.
Yes.
Yes.
So she supervises all the learning groups,
Right.
provide the materials, and check each of the learners whether they are ready or not for the
I
post-test.
see.
But of course, on top of that, there's before she lets go of all her learners to continue with their modules, there's that period where, like the GMRC before.
Yes.
So,
How do you introduce GMRC?
in the morning before the start of the regular class,
GMRC is?
good manners and right conduct.
Yes.
But now there's
It's just conduct.
Yeah.
Now.
They're doing it like edukasyong pagpapakatao.
EPP.
Yeah.
Yes.
EPP.
Oo.
So, although there's a subject teacher for that and some materials that have been developed, still the teacher, before she lets the learning
start
process,
of the program,
program, would have some like a few minutes, 10 to 15 minutes with her class, reminding her of how they should behave. Some,
Yes. Values formation.
Yeah, values formation. So, yeah, that's part of the learning process of the
Okay.
impact system.
So, Miss Debbie, we discussed the importance of assessment and feedback. So, how do you assess and give feedback when you are implementing the impact program?
Okay, so Teacher Tina, I have already mentioned the post-test, right?
Yeah, so
Yes.
after the program, before they take the assessment, or that's the assessment already, the post-test is the assessment?
Part of the assessment.
Okay.
Because an impact school has to follow all the assessments that DepEd is mandating them.
Yes.
Yeah. And however, they also do diagnostic tests, no?
Right.
Especially for learners who are transferees. So before they are assigned to what grade level that learner should be, then he has to go through or she has to go through a diagnostic test.
Just to consider baselines. Yes, right.
And then determine the level.
Correct.
Because although there's a grade or a report card saying that this learner should be in grade 4, however, based on the diagnostic test and a reading test, the teacher can assign that learner
To grade 3, for example. Yes.
And then that child would not feel anything like he is misplaced.
Demoted, yeah.
Because the groups are vertically arranged.
Correct,
So he can,
correct.
and then the teacher later on, based on his progress, can move him up to the grade 4 level.
And it's more tailor-fit to the student.
Yes.
Because one student doesn't have to be strong in all the subjects,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And they won't feel like they were demoted. That's
Yes,
important.
yes.
Okay, all right.
Especially for non-readers. You know, we have many children now who are non-readers.
That's
so when
true.
they go enroll in an impact school and the teacher thinks that you cannot read, you sit down with a grade 1. So you really start from
That's
the
correct
basics.
because DepEd right now has a no read, no pass at a certain level.
Yes.
That's
So
right.
with impact, he can be assigned at grade 1 level.
Okay.
And so he begins to learn the basics there of reading
That's
and
good.
writing.
That's good.
And
And it's perfect that it's a vertical group.
Yes, and then later on, as I know, in the school year, he can move up to his level once he is able
That's
to
right.
read.
That's
So
right.
that's
So parang may
very perfect.
hinahabol lang tayo.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
all
So
right.
those are one of the assessment. No? So aside from the diagnostic test, then we have the post test.
Okay.
And then we have also embedded inside the modules are several exercises that can be equivalent to the short quizzes that
Right.
schools, regular
Parang
schools
practice
give
tests.
to them. Yes.
Yeah.
And their answers are also recorded. So the children do the recording themselves. No? And
Oh, that's
honesty is
good.
being practiced here.
That's great. So they'll also have a gauge on where they are.
Yes.
Right.
And during the process of correcting their exercises, the answers to the exercises, the group leader can ask, "Oh, why is your answer like this?" So
Are you having difficulty in this part?
Or
Yeah.
can you defend your answer? So there's an infusion of higher order thinking. skills,
Right,
you know?
right.
Children
right.
are asked to
And there's
defend.
ownership.
Yes,
there's ownership in their work. Yes.
And then, of course, there's the periodical test. Then they also participate in the NAT or the National
In the
Achievement
NAT,
Test,
yes.
and all the other tests that the DepEd has regulated.
That's great.
Yes.
But Miss Debbie, if for example, you encounter a child that is really having a difficult time regardless, do you have a special place for them in the program?
There is tutoring.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
That's
so-
more one-on-one
One-on-one.
rather than being in a big group.
Yes. So there is always a time or a period where we call that individual pursuit. No, there's one period actually. These individual pursuit are given to all the learners. Now, for fast learners, they can go to the library, read books, search the internet, of course, provided that is regulated. While others who are slow learners or need additional remediation,
Yes.
then they are assigned tutors. So usually
that's
the tutors can be a higher grade level. But if really learning is difficult for the child, then the teacher does really
That's
the
good
tutoring.
because it's really skill-centered.
Yes.
So where the child is. If a child is advanced, then you give them some other activity.
Yes.
And if a child is having a hard time, then they have additional remediation.
Yeah, and that is done every day.
I see. Okay, so Miss Debbie, after assessment and feedback, what is the benefits naman na nade-develop kung gagamitin natin ng impact
Kung
program?
gagamitin mo yung impact, you know what? The learners benefit most is that they develop their confidence,
Yes.
their leadership skills, and their socialization skills.
So nakita nyo yun before? Na-excite sila pag nag-join na sila sa impact
actually,
group?
Children really love to learn under the impact system.
If the program is fun.
Yes, because
Yeah.
they learn within their peers,
That's right,
with their groups,
right.
and the experience of being a program teachers.
Yes.
You know, they call the grade 1 learners to be ate,
Yeah.
kuya,
So
and
there's
then-
relationship
Yes.
in the group, no? Apart from learning.
Yes, and of course, these program teachers and peer group leaders, they are also awarded. They are given additional points by the teachers, of course, because it's really a task that is shared, no, with the teachers, no.
Do you
by the
see
teachers and
do you see the
learners.
happiness of the students when they see that their parents are involved?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes, they see. Especially parents when they see their children doing the program teaching.
Yes.
Especially there are occasions in the school and they are asked to demonstrate. Parents are really very proud to see their children standing there.
I'm sure may na-encourage pa kayong parent dyan na maging teacher after.
Yes, but they become teacher aid. Yeah,
Yes.
if they're just waiting for their children.
It's good that happens when you involve the parents. Even their parenting skills change.
Yes.
Because it's a different dynamic when they're teaching their children.
Yes. Oo. And also parents are awarded because quarterly when the teacher would award the best program teacher,
Yeah.
the best peer group leader.
You also give an award for the
Yes,
parents.
yes.
Oh,
So that's why
great.
there's really support.
It's a
and
holistic
happy.
involvement for
Yes.
the whole community,
Yes,
not
yes.
just the students and the teachers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Miss Debbie, for explaining the impact program to us. For me, personally as a teacher, I like the fact that you involved the whole community.
Yes.
Because as a family life and child development specialist, I also believe that you can only teach a child in the context of their group that they are intimate with, which is their family and the community that they're living in. And secondly, I think what's nice about Impact was you intended it to be just not in school. It can be outdoors. So it means learning can be everywhere. And learning was done in a way that the vertical groups that they learn from other levels and the other levels or the older kids can take care of the younger kids. So there's more socio-emotional domain or development.
Yeah.
Not just cognitive. So ang importante po sa atin ay hindi lang yung brains nila but yung hearts rin nila at kung paano sila makipagsalamuha with the other people in their community.
Yeah, that's true.
So maraming salamat, Mrs. Debbie Lacuesta, former Senior Specialist of Simeo Inotech and Impact Project Manager. Mabuhay po kayo, Miss Debbie.
Thank you also, Miss Tina, Teacher Tina, for giving me the opportunity to share what I know of Impact.
Okay, so for more information about Inotech's published knowledge products and services, bisitahin lamang ang website na www.simeo-inotech.org. Follow and share our social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Simeo Inotech. No space, isa lang yon at Simeo Inotech. And Simeo Inotech, the YouTube channel. Okay, muli po, ito po si Teacher Tina Zamora na nagpapaalala lahat ng bagay may paraan. Kung gusto mong matuto, halika na't makihalubilo. Sa aming munting programa, kasali lahat ng miyembro ng pamilya. Dito asahan mong si teacher ay may kasangga, magulang at komunidad tulong-tulong sama-sama. Salamat sa pagsama sa amin and see you again in our next episode. Bye!